Hi and welcome to the show today. We are going to be talking about some great natural sweeteners that you may or may not have heard of, and that's why I want to share about these today because I get questions all the time about some of these, how to use them and where you can find them. So we're going to start on one end of the counter here and work our way to the other. We're going to start with a sweetener that is the lowest on the glycemic index that doesn't affect the blood sugar, which is called Stevia. So as you can see, this is green in color, and when you are purchasing Stevia, I recommend you get green Stevia. So this comes a plant called the Stevia leaf plant, and they dry it and blend it into a powder. So you can see here, it is a really nice powder, and it is very, very naturally sweet. But the beauty of this sweetener is it does not spike the blood sugar, so it is really good if you have blood sugar imbalance, diabetes, different things like that, or you want to try a different sweetener. The measurement for this is very different than other sweeteners. So for most of the other sweeteners I'm going to be talking about today, it's actually pretty equal parts. So if you were to use regular sugar, you would sub a cup of one of these sweeteners. But for Stevia, it's a bit different. So I find about a teaspoon of Stevia equals 1 cup of sugar. So it's a very different measurement. So if you're unsure of your measurement with using Stevia, either check online or ask in the store, ask someone if they can help you with that measurement, because it is very different and you will have way too sweet of a recipe if you use too much. This is great to use for baking, for teas, for coffee, for anything you're gonna use sugar for. Definitely you could sub this for. And if you're using it on a smaller level, so if you were using, say, a teaspoon here of sugar for your coffee, then you would really only need like a small trace for your coffee. So it's a much less amount. So you just wanna be careful with your measurement on the Stevia, but it is a great one because it's so low glycemic. The second one on my list is one of the ones that pretty much not a lot of people have heard of, and that's why I love the sweetener so much. A, because it's also very low glycemic. It's only about 3 grams of sugar per quarter of cup, which is really good. So this is the lucuma powder, and it's lucuma fruit plant dried and blended into a powder, and it's got a caramel maple flavor, so it's really great for baking. I like to put it in icings, my chocolate avocado pudding, different things like that. So again, it's just a simple powder. This one I find measures very similar to a granulated sugar, white sugar, brown sugar. So essentially whatever your measurement is for a recipe for sugar would be the same amount for the lucuma powder. What I normally like to do is split it in half. So I'll add maybe half honey into my recipe and then half lucuma powder, because this does have such a nice flavor. I find it also is really nice in recipes with chocolate. So that is lucuma powder. You can find that at most natural markets. I find in the city is the best place to get that. Number 3 on the list is coconut palm sugar or coconut sugar. So I love this because this is your granulated sugar that's more natural. So it's lower on the glycemic index. It's not gonna spike your blood sugar as much as a refined white sugar or cane sugar is going to. And because it's still brown in color, so it's its natural color, it's actually got some nutrient value to it. So it has some B vitamins, it has a bit of iron. So the more nutrients we can get into our sweeteners, the better. So this essentially measures the exact same as your brown sugar, your white sugar. So this is so easy to sub in recipes. So it's as simple as looking at a recipe that may be your favorite and looking at all I have to do is sub that white sugar for coconut sugar. So that simple. I find this is really nice to add as well into teas and coffees and all baked goods. It's one of my favorites. Actually, my favorite recipe to use it in is apple crisp. It's absolutely delicious and has a great flavor. 4th on the list is maple syrup. So this is real dark grade maple syrup, and you might be asking, what does that mean? So there are 3 grades of maple syrup, A, B, and C, or numbers 1, 2, and 3. A is the lightest grade, or number 1. Number 2 is in the middle, and number 3 is the darkest. So the darker the grade, the less refining process has happened with this. So some people like to start with the lighter one if they're weaning off of refined sugars, just because the flavor is a bit sweeter. And as you go darker, it gets to be a more maple flavor, which I absolutely love. So this is a grade 3, and you can see that it is quite dark in color, which again is a great thing. The darker it is, the more nutrient value. Again, an easy sub, and it blends well with pretty much everything. So I absolutely love maple syrup, and it's a Canadian thing, so who doesn't love that? And 5th on the list is good raw unpasteurized honey. So you can see how thick this is, And we want our honey to be this thick. This is a sign that this has not been processed. So there's a lot of honeys that you can squeeze out of a bottle, or they're very syrupy. This is a sign they've been very processed. So I always say when you're looking for a honey, it should be in a jar or a plastic container, and literally you should have to use a spoon to scoop it out. Real, raw, and pasteurized honey, which it should say on the container, also has tons of enzymes, and enzymes help to break down our food. So a teaspoon of honey in your tea every day is actually really good for your immune system to ward off colds, break down your food better, and is also good for your digestion. And again, you can find this at most grocery stores. All the markets have local honey vendors as well, and they even have flavored honey, so you can get cinnamon honey, cayenne honey, peppermint honey, etc. So definitely give that a try as well. So I hope I've sweetened up your day with all of these natural sweeteners. So go ahead, give them a try. I use all of these in all of my recipes on my website, in my cookbook. So head on over to amberapproved.ca and check those out as well. Thanks so much for watching Fresh Health with Amber Approved again today, and we'll see you next time.